Okay, I came to you earlier with a fictional story. Now I'm going to read you a nonfiction and informational story. This one is called From Seed to Pine Tree, following the life cycle. So I know we're working in science with plants and insects and all that. So I thought this would be a good one to read. It does have a table of contents. So there's our first nonfiction text feature, table of contents. There's a glossary. Ooh, fun facts, kind of like what was on Pebble Go for your science activity today, where you got to look up fun facts about insects. This one has fun facts, I'm guessing, about pine trees. So let's get started. Beautiful pines. Pine trees are known for their long, thin leaves called needles. Pine trees are evergreen, so their needles stay green year-round. These beautiful trees are found in forests, parks, and maybe even your yard. More than 150 different kinds of trees. Text feature. Let's see if I can't get some more light in here. In the window a little bit, so I don't have a glare from the lamp. So we have our map. It says, in the United States, the short-leaf pine tree is found in 22 states. It grows as far south and west as Texas, throughout the eastern part of the country, and as far north as New York. So you have your map key right here in green, and these are the states with short-leaf pine trees. So these starts all the way down here from Texas, goes all the way up to New York. And then all the parts that are gray are where you're not going to find the trees, so only the green. That's why it's so important when you have a map in a book that you're looking at the map key, so you know why that map is there. It is important. A small seed. A towering pine tree begins life as a tiny brown seed. The winged seed is protected inside a closed pine cone. In fall, the pine cone opens. The wind carries the winged seed to the ground. This small seed starts to germinate or sprout when temperatures rise in spring. A seed also needs water and air to begin growing. So water and air, one of those basic needs we've been talking about. And it has a little picture. And these are cool because you can see them around, and if you drop them, they kind of spin. So if you find them out near your house, this is our little caption. It says, a seed has nutrients or food inside itself to help it grow. It uses this food until the plant is big enough to make its own. Now I like this is on this page and the last page. I'm trying to get it without glaring. See how it says comma or nutrients, comma or food? That means food and nutrients are like synonyms. Food is a definition of nutrients. So whenever you see comma or, you can replace that nutrients with the word food. They mean the same thing. A seedling sprouts. When a seed begins to sprout, the tough outer coat of a seed opens. Soon, tiny roots grow downward into the ground. They take in water and hold the seed in place. Soon, a green shoot sprouts upward toward the bright sunlight. Next, green needles grow from the shoot. The seed has become a young tree called a seedling. So you could even think about when we did chronological order this week with the dandelion. So the seed opens, the roots grow, the shoot sprouts, and the needles grow. So first, next, then last. Here's a good one. There's insects on this one. It says, most shortleaf pine needles die before they are a year old. Sometimes this happens because seedlings do not get enough water. Other seedlings are eaten by hungry insects. Often, too many seeds fall in a small area. There may not be enough nutrients for all of them to survive. So if those little seedlings don't have their 4 basic needs met, they won't survive. They won't grow. Growing tall. A seedling needs air, sunlight, and water to grow. It uses these things to make food in its needles. This process is called photosynthesis. A shortleaf pine seedling becomes a sapling when it is 3 years old. A sapling has a strong, woody trunk and looks like its parent tree. So it's showing you like there's like the cycle has the arrows, the diagram. This is water. These are all the water, sunlight and air, and then the oxygen. It needs those three things. With a little caption down here. Let me get it. During photosynthesis, pine trees make a gas called oxygen in their long needles. People and animals need oxygen to live. Look, and there's even a little sprinkler that's putting out water for the little, let's see, that was called a sapling. So that little sapling, that has to be at least 3 years old to be a sapling. A mighty pine. A sapling grows taller each year until it becomes a mighty pine tree. When a short-leaf pine tree is 20 years old, it will be about 60 feet or 18 meters tall. Most full-grown short-leaf pine trees reach a height of 100 feet or 31 meters. That's about as tall as that's about as tall as a 10-story building. So you think, here's a little picture, and they're showing you it's 10 stories tall, and that's about as tall as a grown-up tree will get. That's pretty tall. In fall, some of the short-leaf pine trees' needles turn brown and fall off. Other needles stay green all winter. That's why it's called an evergreen tree. In spring, a pine tree grows new needles on the tips of its branches. Still really tall. 10 stories tall. Flowers called pine cones. When a shortleaf pine tree is 20 years old, it grows special flowers in the spring. The flowers are called pine cones. Some pine cones are male and others are female. New male pine cones are smaller than female pine cones. The long, thin male pine cones are yellow or green. New female pine cones are green. The thick scales on the female pine cones later turn brown and hard. The male pine cones also turn brown as time goes on. So we'll start on this side. These are the new male pine cones. They're small. I didn't know these were flowers. I learned something with you guys. New female pine cones are larger. See how different they look? And then over here we have the mature male pine cones. Like that flower just turned green. And then mature female pine cones. These are the pine cones I'm always used to seeing. I thought they all looked like this, but I was wrong. Male shortleaf pine cones are about 0.5 to 2 inches, so it's like half an inch, 1.3 to 5 centimeters long. Female shortleaf pine cones are about 1 to 3.8 inches or 2.5 to 9.7 centimeters long. So yeah, I thought they all looked like this. I had no idea that there was different. I didn't know. So you learn stuff all the time. Like, you want to be open to being a lifelong learner. You're never too old to learn something new. Making new seeds. Male pine cones make a yellow dust called pollen. The wind blows some of this pollen onto the open scales of the female pine cone. Soon the female scales close, trapping the pollen inside. When the pollen fertilizes the eggs inside of a female pine cone, new pine tree seeds start to form. So you can see they're blowing in the wind. The little white things are the wind. And they land over here and then they get put inside. Female pine cones can be fertilized by male pine cones on the same tree. So you don't even have to go to a different tree. Flying free. When the new seeds are fully grown, the scales on a female pine cone open. In late October, these winged seeds begin falling to the ground. The long wings help the seeds float away from the shade of the parent tree. The seed needs plenty of sunlight to grow. These are the ones I was saying, like if you take them and you drop them with the seed at the bottom, it'll spin as it goes down. It's really cool. They're all over my neighborhood. Some female pine cones, such as those found on the jack pine and the lodgepole pine trees, need heat to open. Forest fires create enough heat to open these pine cones and allow their seeds to fall out. Wow, I would think that forest fires would be bad. Let's read the page first, and then I'll read the caption. This cycle begins again. After a long winter, pine tree seeds sprout in spring. In time, they grow into tall adult trees. These mighty pines provide homes for animals. Their long green branches give shade to hikers and campers on sunny days. During its life cycle, the shortleaf pine tree makes our world a more beautiful place to live. So there's some people going on a nature walk. Most adult shortleaf pine trees are cut down for lumber when they are about 35 years old. It's hard to find a shortleaf pine tree that is more than 100 years old. However, a 314-year-old shortleaf pine was discovered in Arkansas not long ago. Wow, over 300 years old. Okay, this is cool. This is a little life cycle chart. Life cycle of a shortleaf pine tree. So you can really we'll start here at the seed. So it says number 1, seed, 2 to 5 years. Number 2, seedling, 5 to 10 years. Number 3, a sapling, 10 to 25 years. And a mature tree, 25 to 150 plus years. That means anything over 150. They don't just stop at 150. So plus could be 300, could be 400. Then we have some fun facts. There's a real picture. Let's see if I can get it without it having a glare. And then there's a glossary of all the words that we would need, some important vocabulary words. If you were reading the book and you got stuck somewhere and you're like, man, what does germination mean? You can always go look in the glossary. Or what does photosynthesis mean? And you can go look. It's a process plants use to make food and oxygen. So if you're ever reading a nonfiction story and you get stuck on a word, a lot of the times they'll be in like a bold print and you'll know you can go in the back and look for them. Don't think this one did bolded words. No, it didn't do bolded words, but these are the words that the author feels like are very important, or you might want to look up, or you might need help with, or that are important to the main idea. We have our glossary, and in the back, we have some websites that we can go to. I'm going to go in and see if they work, and if they do, I will link them. Then I like that they have the index. That's another great nonfiction text feature. And I want to show you, let's see, do they have any dashes? Oh, they don't have any dashes. But if I wanted to go look up photosynthesis, I could say, oh, photosynthesis, number 10. That means it's on page 10. So I can easily flip back in my book. I can say, oh, photosynthesis is on this page. And here it is in this caption. During photosynthesis, pine trees make a gas called oxygen in their long needles. People and animals need oxygen to live. So that index is really important. And then this is nice because this says look for other books in this series. So it has other life cycle books. So this was From Seed to Pine Tree, Following the Life Cycle. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to look for some more nonfiction science books. And in the meantime, I'm going to link some of the websites that they recommended, and you guys can look that up too. Miss you.